Hello everyone. Well, welcome to another edition of the Adventures of Kano on the Rocks. We're going to look and follow a trail, and I think it's going to lead to a Kano who has a rock. So let's see. There's a rock there. Here's another rock. Oh, there's a stick. There's a rock. Where is he? Oh! There he is. There's Kano. What you got in your mouth? What you got? Oh, you had a rock. Imagine that. He's also been swimming. Let's see if he'll hold my hand. Hey, come here. Sit. Sit! Kano. Oh, I guess we're going to play with the rock. Gotta get it just right. He's on his leash, even though I'm outside, because he has been swimming and he's all wet. Go get it. And if you want to dry off, you gotta keep him out of the water. You gonna get it? We got it. Oh, look. There's another rock. There's rocks on the porch. There's also a piece of paper towel that got torn up that he found somewhere. He loves to tear up paper towel. So this year, I decided not to plant a regular garden. Last year, I tried a couple of self-wicking buckets. If you go and you Google them or search on YouTube, you'll find Arms Family Homestead, which is a really good website. They show lots of different ways of farming, like hydroponic and self-wicking tubs and buckets, and they have links to some other websites. I think one of them is Gardening with Leon. If you look on those websites, those YouTube channels, you'll find different ways of doing it. So this year, what I'm done is I've made some self-wicking buckets. These are just 5-gallon buckets. You put some containers inside that take up some of the space. You end up with an air pocket when you do it the proper way that will keep them from drowning the plants. And you get about 5 inches of water in the bottom of the pot, of the bucket. Last year I had a bucket with lemongrass that grew about 4 foot tall, and I had a basil plant that grew really big. So this year we've got a pepper plant. I kind of have them under the edge of the house here to protect them for a few days so they get growing bigger. Plus we have wind out here all the time. So got some red peppers here. Over in this one I've got Greek oregano. In this one we have lemon thyme. You might notice I turned the radio off. I love the song, but it was getting kind of loud. Over here, I have tomatoes. You know, I don't remember. Oh, I buried the tag. That's why. We've got some early girls that we're going to grow. And these I'm going to have to figure out some way to, when they start really growing and getting bigger, to have a trellis or something to hold them up. In this bucket here we've got Bonnie Original, and this is your Indeterminate, which I'm trying to remember. I think Indeterminate will only grow so tall. There's 2 different kinds of tomatoes. Some grow really tall and some only grow to a certain height. And then this one here, again, I must have buried the tag, is jalapenos. So we planted some habaneros a few years back in the garden, and they were really good. We still have them actually dehydrated in the freezer, and they have not lost any of their heat. So the nice thing about this is, because like here in Iowa, the weather, as nice as it is today, in a few days is going to get cold again, like highs in the low 50s, possible frost. All I have to do is pick them up, carry them inside when it's really cold, and they'll be protected. If we know there's going to be high winds, I can take them in out of the wind also. If you're wondering, inside these containers there's a container. I use several different things, like a plastic coffee container, and the hose or the pipe actually goes down into them. So the idea is you can actually just put water into the hose, and then once the soil is wet, it will just wick its way up, and the plant will be able to get it. And there's an air pocket in there, so the plant won't drown. It'll go down. It can actually send roots into the container inside. And as you can see, when I filled them up today, I got more water than needed to be in there, so it's draining out. So even if it rains on them, the water will drain out. It'll never get too high. It'll never flood the plant out. And we can fertilize them as we go also. We'll just put some Miracle Grow on them. So it's going to be interesting to see. In the past, I've had a garden out there, and it's been nothing but work with weeds. And usually we get more production out of it than we can really handle by ourselves. So we're going to try it this way and see what we get, and we'll have updates as we go. All right, so presto changeo, I'm going fishing. So if you look way off in the distance, there's some trees down there and some houses. That's where we live, over that way. The pond is over this way. Right now I'm in the middle of a cornfield. I'm gonna go out here, and first thing is to get a lure that I lost yesterday out of a tree. So I brought a chainsaw and a rake and a pair of clippers, and we're gonna see if we can get it off out of the tree. This is where I go fishing all the time. It's close to home, and usually I'm the only one out here, so it's pretty nice. Got some friends that own this property, and people come out. A lot of people come out here, but sometimes, right now, most of the farmers in the area are busy. So it's nice to get out here and get away from work and do a little fishing. And there's the pond. We're going to drive around the pond to the other side to where the lure is. Try to get it out. You might want to stick it in four-wheel drive. And you definitely want to stay on the road, because you get off the road in some of these places, it's a little muddy, and you might sink in. Like right there, that'd be bad. You wouldn't get out of that very easy. There's the pond right there. This is where I brought Kano when he got super muddy, dirty. There's a spot right in the road that's kind of wet, and I kind of skirt around that. I'll get stuck. Oh, a hole. And go up here. So these little lean-tos, we used to have a bunch of them on our property when we first moved in. They're usually used for housing hogs. Somebody's been camping in that one, and they built a hole, dug a hole right outside of it here to have a fire in. They dug it right in the middle of the driveway. You're gonna watch out for that. Then we're gonna come over here, and we're gonna park and try to find, oh, there goes a goose. Oh yeah, goose. I saw a Cameron out here the other day. Last year there was a big flock of pelicans. There's a lot of geese that come out here and nest. They actually have like a half a barrel suspended above the water for the geese to nest in. I never really see any in it, but yeah, it looks pretty good tonight. Nice and calm. Wind's not too bad over here. Get this lure back and do a little fishing. All of God's creatures worshiping him. And the goose isn't happy with me, probably disturbing it. I'm sure they got a nest hidden somewhere. I haven't found it yet. And then you get all the frogs. They can drive you kind of crazy. They get really loud. I'm zoomed in on a goose. I'm not going to go down there because I don't want to disturb her any more than I already have. Oh, something was just breaking the water in a couple places. That's a good sign. Things are up eating. Hopefully my lure is still in there in the tree. I can see it from here. So, I have to get that out. Alright, so, I cut the branch off. Wasn't a whole lot of room to work in here, but I got the lure back and gave some cover for the fish. Go along with all the other brush that they put in here this year. So, that was productive. I think I brought the chainsaw. Now to get to fishing. Well, believe it or not, after going through all that to get the lure, I made about 5 casts and the line broke. It's out in the middle of the water somewhere there. Never fails. So now we're going to go to something a little bit smaller. This is a little yellow Strike King Micro King. We'll see how this works. Yellow seems to be a pretty good color out here usually. So if you look right there, there's a frog sitting in the grass. If I had a tripod, I'd put my camera where I'd be able to film it. I could probably catch them if I just throw my lure in front of them. They'll grab it and shove it in their mouth, and then you can catch a frog that way. That's what's doing all the chirping out here. One thing about Iowa, they always have some beautiful sunsets. Today it's almost 80. Tomorrow it's going to be a little cooler. Next weekend, 50s. We'll take it when we get it. And just like that, my luck changes and I catch a fish. Nice little bass. Fun to catch. So, you probably heard a bunch of noise in the background besides the animals. We are in the middle of planting season. One of the neighbors is trying to get his corn in. Farmers work a lot of long, hard hours. They work well into the night a lot of times, trying to get it in before weather changes and stuff. Right now we're sitting in the car. We're actually on the dam, so you can see it's kind of far down on that side. The roadway, and the water. Make sure the sun's in here. know if he's going to come out from behind the trees when he gets closer. The planters and the harvesters are getting bigger and bigger these days. They have to fold them up to get them down the road because they're so wide. I think they do like 24 rows at a time. Most of it's GPS driven. They put their fields in, and then it'll take and make sure they get every inch of it covered. So I moved to a different spot. I caught another fish. That one's pretty tiny though. They come in all sizes. They got to eat to get big. So you probably can't hear it over the frogs, which are getting quite loud. They're all looking for their girlfriends and boyfriends. There's also a pheasant that's been, oh, there he was, making some calls. And it's really interesting. We've actually had one in our yard not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. And we have never had a pheasant in our yard before. In fact, in Iowa, most of the hunters will tell you there aren't very many of them for various reasons, but they seem to be making a comeback. Might be because we had a good winter, but I definitely hear one calling. So, and there was a fish that just jumped by that tree stump there. I'm gonna try to get in there. My luck, I'll get hung up in the tree. Well, here's how things go in Iowa. It's now raining, and it's getting dark, so I'll probably head in. As Jimmy Houston would say, the fish don't care. They're wet already. Don't let your rock drown. Silly boy. Hey, we're going this way. Hey, hey, come on. Up to the porch. Come on. When you have a Great Pyrenees, it's on their terms.